Are the rules in Ankh-Morpork on orangutans football?
Good question. I can tell you that, at least for part of the time in a football match in Unseen Academical, the librarian is the goalkeeper. I have no compunction now that there is a scene where when they are practicing football, because they're really having to kind of learn it from scratch, in the great hall of Unseen University, Bengo Macarona, who's from another university, very good striker, kicks the ball so hard it's heading towards a priceless stained glass window until the librarian leaps up and continues to leap and unfolds as he leaps and catches the ball in mid-air, which is where they rather get the view that he would make a good goalkeeper. Besides it, I think frankly as to what position an orangutan would play on the football field, wherever he wants to go. Next question.
Next question. Okay. Will we see Susan and Time together again? Susan deserves some romance.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think people have lives outside the printed page. and it's not my job to go picky.
Okay.
I'm working, although I've probably done by now over 10,000 words, I'm in the very early stages of writing I Shall Wear Midnight. And going back to, because I don't know how many of those words are going to turn out to be the right kind of words, going back to Tiffany and the Macfeagle is like, you know, getting into a nice, cosy, warm bath, which is a bad thing, because that means it isn't going to be difficult, and it's the difficulty of doing it that kind of makes it interesting. Although I must confess, the way the plot... Let me explain something. How come I write? Now, it works like this. I cannot recommend this to anybody else. Beginning a book involves the following thing. Playing more or less endless games of oblivion to try out different mods. And then periodically going along and tootling on the keyboard, or now actually into the microphone, things that occur to me. And eventually, and it's always happened so far, the developing story, which is just being nailed together out of bits I find lying around in my head, suddenly develops a voice. My main character says something, someone says something to them, something happens, and it tells me what the story is about. So I start writing the story then up to a certain point, and I have to get to that certain point before I know what's going to happen after that. Now I know there are guys out there that can map their whole book out on postcards before they even begin work. That's not me. Mine is all emergence. Kind of tricking myself into telling myself what the story is. And there are several places in Unseen Academicals that I recall very fondly. Larry Niven actually said once, treasure your typos. Your typos may be a way that you are trying to tell yourself something. some years ago, I typed, "The leopard cannot change his shorts." And I've always been quite pleased with that one. The Japanese makers of fine earthenware bowls considered that floors in the kiln were actually sent by the gods and should be treasured as such. And sometimes those strange little typos are quite valuable. And it took some time for unseen academicals to tell me what it was, which is not the same as the plot. It is the same as the point. What is the point of the book? And it has a number of them, in fact. It's an intensive book, and with lots of quite important characters in it, and lots of little threads running through it. It was a lot of fun to write, and at the end I was dictating to Rob because that was a much faster way of getting things done, and I kept an eye on him if there was any funny part, to see if there was a smile. So actually from now on I'm just going to nail him to something and watch his face as like a weatherman, you know, as he smiled at that joke. Obviously he's going to smile, and his boss, he's bloody well smiles. The other thing I actually found doing this, which I think would be in editing, the best way to edit is to close your eyes and get someone to read to you what you've written, because that's where you hear what's wrong. You can't read it, I don't think, but you can hear it. You can hear the sentences that don't work, you can hear the repetition. So we seem to have a much better, I have a much better audio recollection than I have, as it were, a reading recollection. I don't know what the question was, but that was quite a good answer. I know what the point is in I Shall Wear Midnight, and it's very simple, because she's had quite a triumphal life so far. So it would be nice to see how she takes adversity. Not temporary adversity, but serious, problematical adversity. And the opening pages of the book actually shocked me. In fact, I phoned up my editors and said, I'm writing a young adult book. This is how it starts. And they said, oh, no, that's okay for young adult. You can handle that sort of stuff.
And we should note here that your young adult editor is Anne Hoppy, who I'm sure is in the audience, here in the United States.
Yeah. Is Anne here?
I believe she is.
Hello, Anne. In fact, actually, Anne said, go for it. I mean, I have to say here and now, because I know that the guns are trained on me, that I am very lucky with my editors, especially with the patience shown in the lateness of the copy for Unseen Academical. And that's why I'm moving very fast on I Shall Wear Midnight. But I get given good advice and lots of transatlantic phone